Hello and welcome to Rise and Unwind Orlando. You know, each and every week I try to talk to people from across the country about things you could do in your neighborhood. And on this week's show, we got this.
Me actually having a run-in my own neighborhood where a bear would repeatedly break into my trash and recycling, and one time came in and clearly showed a preference for alcohol.
But it was really fun to play someone who's just devoid of any fear. It was a little liberating. Not to say I condone bad behavior. I'm a huge empath and a cuddle bug.
All of that and more right here on Rise and Unwind.
If you're planning to move this summer, you're not alone. Millions of renters are in the market and things are moving fast. So how do you find the right place and avoid overpaying? Zillow's home trends expert Amanda Pendleton is here with her top tips for renters trying to stay ahead. Welcome, Amanda.
That's great to be here.
Thank you for being here. You've got some tips first about searching smarter. What can you tell us about that?
The most affordable rental units are getting snatched up in a matter of days. So speed is really going to give you a competitive advantage, and digital tools do help. Move and date filters, 3D tours, interactive floor plans, pet-friendly toggles. All these things help you narrow down your options online. So you're touring fewer properties in person, which saves you a lot of time. And you're ready to jump when the right one does come along.
You say renters should understand the full cost before signing. What kinds of hidden fees should they be looking out for?
So many hidden fees, right? There's pet fees, there's amenity fees, there's those security deposits too, and they all add up. Well, on Zillow Rentals, we now have a new way to be able to show you all the fees involved in your rental. So all those monthly fees, plus those one-time costs and any additional charges as well. And you can customize it too. So let's say you've got a cat and a dog, but you don't have a car. You just check all those boxes and you see exactly what your monthly total is going to be. This is one of 5 new tools Zillow just launched last week, and we're really excited to bring it to every listing on Zillow Rentals.
You also suggest ways to save on application fees, which I hate, and they can add up so fast. What can renters do there?
They do. The typical application fee is $50 nationwide, and most renters are submitting at least 2 of them. So Zillow's got one universal application. It's $35. You can apply to as many unlimited eligible properties as you'd like within a 30-day period. So saves you a bit of cash. It also saves you time. You just fill out one application.
Negotiating concessions might not be something renters think to do. What kinds of things are actually negotiable?
When you're in a competitive rental market, you don't have a lot of leverage to negotiate on the actual rent itself, but you can ask for concessions. So things like reduced pet fees or free parking for a few months, or maybe even 1 month of free rent. 35% of all rentals are offering some kind of concession. So this is a pretty reasonable ask.
And finally, where can we go to learn a bit more?
So we have a great renter resource center, tons of tips there, zillow.com/learn/renting. And of course, if you're in the market for a new home, check out Zillow Rentals.
Excellent. Well, Amanda Pendleton with Zillow, thank you so much for joining us and giving us some great tips this morning.
Yeah, thank you.
What if you knew exactly when your life would end? Adam Silvera's hit series, They Both Die at the End, flipped the idea into a worldwide phenomenon. And now he's back with a powerful third installment, The Survivor Wants to Die at the End. The book is already making waves and marks 10 books in 10 years for Adam, who's kind of grown up alongside with the readers. We're thrilled to welcome the TikTok sensation and the #1 New York Times best-selling author, Adam Silvera. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing so well, Dan. Thank you so much for having me.
All right, so let's start with the title. The Survivor Wants to Die at the End. It's kind of a bold title. What does that mean for the character of Paz and for the readers?
Well, I mean, I think every title in this series, especially They Both Die at the End, is like a bold title for this series. So I feel like I have to keep the trend going at this point. But, it was really important for me to signal what kind of story this is. I think in the same way with They Both Die at the End, where I wanted to prepare readers for that ending, whether or not they believed it. I think 3 books into the series now, they trust that what I say in the title is what I mean, and I like it's a book about battling mental health and mental illness, and Paz is a character who, is struggling with the will to live, and, the other boy, Alano, is determined to save him. And so I just wanted to write the story about he may want to die and be having this ongoing battle with his mental illness, but, life is worth living.
And the Deathcast universe has kind of grown into something really personal for a lot of fans. What keeps drawing you back to it as a writer?
I mean, I heard this quote one time that all great stories about love or death, and this series is definitely about love and death, and and I think all my work will continue to be. It's something that I'm constantly grappling with, questions about death and mortality, and these books have been a really beautiful way for me to explore these questions that I keep asking myself over the years.
And this book also explores some heavy stuff. It's grief, loneliness, and I guess even a group called the Death Guard. How do you balance all of that with the message about learning to live?
Well, I mean, I think we're no strangers to opposition in this world and to really terrifying times, and yet it's in our best interest to find the beauty in life, right? And to find the people that make us feel safe and make us feel secure and make us feel loved, and knowing that even in the darkest of times, those people are out there, and it's really important for us to be reaching out to them. And even if we are in a place of strength ourselves, to be making sure that we're checking in on the people who might not be as strong as we are right now and might be a little bit more vulnerable.
And you've published about 10 books in 10 years. That's pretty crazy. Looking back, how has your writing and your audience pretty much evolved over that time?
I mean, it's wild. I mean, I've met some readers from the first book back in 2015, start as freshmen starting high school, and I've now seen them exit college and get their first jobs. And some of them I've written college recommendation letters for over the years because I've known them for so long as young people who were just attending my events and always had such inquisitive questions, and were just so impressive. So it's been really wild I started publishing when I was 25 and about to be 35 next month, and my life has changed in so many ways, and much gratitude to those readers who have gotten me to this place. And my writing has only gotten stronger because I have one rule with every book. It is for that book to be better than the last book, right? I can't control the quality of a book 10 years ago, right? I did the best that I could at that time, but now I can be better than that last book with more time.
And you've also built a really passionate community online, especially on TikTok. How has that changed the way you've connected with readers or even write your own stories?
I think sometimes there's this idea that maybe there's going to be more pressure from having a bigger fan base that I now am going to be scared to write. I'm I mean, whether I'm writing for one reader or 1 million readers, right? My process, the only person's review that I can control is my own. So as long as I know that I'm happy with the book I put out there, I will never doubt the quality of it. I'm okay, this book just simply didn't connect with people at this point in time. But I've been fortunate enough that the energy that I put into this book is being well received by the readers who are picking it up.
The Survivor Wants to Die at the End is available now wherever books are sold. To learn more about Adam and his work, go to adamsilvera.com. Hey, thanks for joining me this morning, my friend.
Thank you so much, Dan. Really appreciate it.
Raising kids in today's tech-filled world isn't easy. Between apps, social media, and screen time, many families are wondering, how do we help our children build good habits online? Today, we're joined by Mikki Wilson, PTA Connected Ambassador for National PTA. She's sharing free resources that can help families have better tech conversations and make smarter decisions together. Hi, Mikki. Thanks for being here.
Thanks, Chris. Thanks for having me.
What are some healthy ways parents can talk to their kids about things like social media and screen time?
I have a couple of different approaches. So we always encourage open, ongoing conversations. This is not like a one-stop shop when it comes to having the conversation. You want to have many of them. So we believe in a positive, proactive, and practical approach when it comes to having ongoing conversations. We know that fear and shame does not change children's behaviors. We don't want to wait until something bad happens before we're actually having the conversation. So we want to be proactive in having those early conversations. And we want to be practical. We are trying to meet families where they're at. There is no one size fits all solution for how we approach this at home. In carrying on that conversation, I like to use the 3 T's as well. And I would encourage parents to talk, try, and teach, particularly when it comes to social media apps and games, right? Talk to your children about the apps and games that they're using or would like to use. Try the games with them. That we find role modeling is a positive role modeling is great for children because they're always watching what we're doing. So doing this together has a great outcome. And then really teaching children about the settings and the privacy settings and really focusing on that is a great way to start the conversation, but to continue to have a productive conversation together.
Can you explain what PTA Connected is and what kind of tools or programs it offers?
Absolutely. So the PTA Connected initiative is one where we're providing free access to programs, tools, and resources. We work with a number of collaborators and supporters to make sure that our programs are educating, empowering, and engaging families. When we arm them with the resources and the knowledge they need in a safe space to have that conversation, we find that this helps them establish what does positive digital behavior look like in their home? What do those healthy habits look like, right? And so again, because there's not a one size fits all solution, we find that pairing the conversation with access to all these great resources allows parents to make the best decision possible for their child or their children, but ultimately their family and their household.
A lot of families will ask, like, how do we know when our child is actually ready for their own device?
Now, this is a hard one, right? Again, it's not a one size fits all approach. And we find that, again, talking to your children that allows them to feel empowered and part of the process. They will share more of their online experiences or their thoughts around them with you. Having PTA connected resources, programs, and tools, again, creates that awareness of what's available and what can help you keep your child protected. So conversations connected with the right information that you need at that age and stage really helps you determine individually what works best for your child in terms of access to digital devices.
Can local PTAs here in Orlando take part in these programs too?
They absolutely can. I would encourage them to visit pta.org/connected. You will have access to all of the resources, all of the programs we provide, and thankfully, through the help of our sponsor, through our supporters and our collaborators, there is also grant funding that is available to really take a program and turn it into an event, an experience that the family will really enjoy and walk away with something meaningful.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Mikki, for joining us today.
Thank you, Chris.
Ever wonder what it would look like if your favorite assassin showed up to a missing persons case with zero fear, a leather jacket, and enough charm to make you forget she's, well, lethal? You might know her from Cowboy Bebop, Jurassic World, or The Detour, but in The Accountant 2, Daniela Pineda is stepping into a whole new world of secrets, strategy, and survival. Welcome to the show, Daniela. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for asking. Well, it looks like you opened up the film with a bang, literally. In that tavern scene with J.K. Simmons,
Yeah.
How did you tap into Nias's cold confidence from the start?
You know, something that I found in the audition process, I read the sides, which are like the scene they give you for the audition, and I didn't know anything about it. They don't tell you anything. I mean, you don't know anything until like 2 weeks after you've booked the part. Like, I got access to the script, so I really was in the dark. But I made an educated guess that this was someone who was a little scary and supposed to be intimidating. And so when I was auditioning, I worked with this guy named Tyler Rice, and he just kept saying, let's make her more still. Make her more still. Don't blink. Can you do this scene and not blink? And I was just like, holy, this is so different for me. Because everything I've done before has been kind of animated or silly or, you know, whatnot. So this was like a major, major departure from that. And yeah, it was basically a good character study on how to be scary, which is not a lot of movement.
All right, and there's also like this line in the notes about Anais being relaxed and chill, even in chaos. Was that fun to play, or was it like trying to really difficult to find the balance of being calm and also a psycho killer?
Oh, it was really fun. It was super fun. Actually, while I was shooting that scene, I was reading this book just totally by chance called Sociopath, a memoir, which I recommend to everybody. It was absolutely fascinating and also like very educational about people who have that disorder or that diagnosis. But it was really fun to play someone who's just devoid of any fear. It was a little liberating. Not to say I condone bad behavior. I'm a huge empath and a cuddle bug, but it was kind of liberating and fun.
And this is a world of intense physicality, like fight scenes, escapes, all of that. What kind of prep or training went into you building your character?
Cynthia and I really went through the ringer in the best way. We both had to learn Muay Thai, which I've done a lot of fight training before, but I'm not super versed in Muay Thai, so that was a departure for me, like a lot of kicks, which I love boxing. Like I just want to box, so kicking is like tough for me. But we did a lot of wonderful rehearsals and a lot of training. My stunt double, Bronte Colugio, who's like, she's a freak of nature. She really, really held my hand throughout all of this. And yeah, it was tough. I mean, I almost like fractured my foot, and on the day was tough, but Cynthia and I worked so hard together, and she's also a lovely, lovely human being. So it really made that fight scene just more fruitful and fun. And for me, it was the highlight of the movie.
And there's also a huge undercurrent of mystery for your character. Without spoiling anything, I know a lot unfolds throughout the film, but what should audiences be watching for her in this storyline?
I think they should just be watching her and paying attention. This is also a movie I want to say is not something you go and watch at home. I mean, yes, it will be available streaming at home, but it really is meant for the theater. Like, you can't be on your phone playing Tetris and then half watching the movie because you're going to miss it. So this is definitely a pay attention type film. But I would just say watch her because you're probably going to see her again.
Excellent. Yeah, because I also have my weird murder wall of all the photos and stuff that with strings attached to each other, trying to figure out what's going on in my life. Yeah.
Charlie Day, Always Sunny wall.
Oh, yeah. I got it right here. Don't look, though. I want to thank you for joining me this morning. You got to check out The Accountant 2. It's in theaters now. Thanks for joining me, Daniela.
Thank you so much.
These days, everything's getting more expensive. Groceries, gas, and now even insurance. But what's really behind those rising costs? Today, we're talking to David A. Sampson, President and CEO of the American Property Casualty Insurance Association, to understand what's driving insurance premiums up and how we can take control. Great to have you here, David.
Thank you, Chris.
What are the top reasons our insurance costs keep rising?
There are three main factors that are driving insurance premium increases. The first is inflation. We're coming off a period of record 40-year high inflation that peaked in 2021. And those costs are still washing through the system. So, for example, home construction, labor, and materials have increased by 78% over the last 5 years. Auto repair costs and parts have increased by 56% over the last 5 years. And so that obviously gets factored into premiums. The second major factor is increased storms and natural catastrophes. We're coming off the most expensive 5-year period of storm and natural catastrophe losses in American history, over $506 billion in insured losses over the last 5 years. And then the third major factor that is often overlooked is runaway lawsuit abuse that is driving up the cost of everything. It has a major impact on Main Street American businesses and insurance premiums. And everybody pays. When you see those massive settlements that are advertised by plaintiffs' attorneys, just recognize that all of that ultimately gets factored into the insurance premiums that all of us pay.
Go more into that legal system abuse and how it's a big driver. Like, what does that look like and how does it affect the everyday consumer?
Well, the Institute for Legal Reform calculates what's called the tort tax for every state in the country based on that state's legal system abuse. And Florida has been right at the top of that tort tax in recent years, $5,700, over $5,700 for a family of four, of increased prices that are directly attributable to lawsuit abuse. Now, I must say, Florida is leading the nation now in legal system reform over the last several years, and it's really having an impact. So, for example, Florida had the lowest average statewide homeowners rate increase in the nation in 2024 after those lawsuit abuse reforms were passed, at just 1% increase in home insurance premiums. So you can see by that reform really does make a difference in lowering insurance premiums.
You mentioned the storms. As the extreme weather gets worse, how can we build smarter to protect our homes and neighborhoods?
Well, in areas of new development, building codes really make a difference. And Florida, again, has been at the leading edge of implementing science-based building codes that enable homes and communities to be more resilient. I think of Hurricane Ian in 2022. Babcock Ranch housing development was right in the path of that storm, and yet it emerged almost unscathed because storm safety and resilience was engineered into every aspect of that development. And again, you can see the difference on the ground between those homes and neighborhoods that were built to modern building codes and those that weren't. And it makes a huge difference in loss cost.
Which states are getting it right with smart reforms, and what can we learn from them?
Well, I put Florida at the very top of the right reforms. It's been tremendous in what's been done, both in terms of tort reforms as well as building codes. You now see that's moved up into Georgia this last legislative session, where they have passed many of the same reforms that Florida has. And even Louisiana this past legislative session has started to pass and has successfully passed, and the governor has signed tort reforms. And so I think there's growing awareness of just how impactful in a negative way legal system abuse is on insurance prices and the need to reform and make sure people are taken care of. We all want that if somebody is injured, but there are better ways to resolve that than these massive lawsuit abuse cases that we've seen.
Where can people turn for more help or resources?
More resources and information is available at apci.org/insurance.
David, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you, Chris.
Meth gators, drunk bears, and a herd of cocaine hippos. No, that's not your local karaoke bar or a rejected sci-fi script. It's real life. Wildlife biologist and adventurer Forrest Galante is exposing a bizarre way that humans' vices are wreaking havoc on the animal kingdom. In his new Discovery Channel series, Animals on Drugs, he digs into how these creatures got hooked, what it means for their ecosystems, and hopefully they could go into rehab. So Forrest joins us now. How can you help? Welcome to the show, Forrest. How are you, my friend?
Yeah, I'm really well, Dan. Thanks for having me. Heck of an intro.
All right. Well, when people hear Animals on Drugs, they think it's a joke, and yeah, I made a few jokes out of that. But this is actually a very real and serious problem. What inspired you to tackle this story?
Yeah, great question. It is loud, it is salacious, but it is also a very timely and real problem. You know, the inspiration came from me actually having a run-in my own neighborhood where a bear would repeatedly break into my trash and recycling, and one time came in and clearly showed a preference for alcohol. This set me on a whole path of research that ended up me discovering that human substances are having these negative consequences on animals and their ecosystems the world over, whether that's the illicit drug trade of cocaine with Pablo Escobar bringing hippos in that are literally killing people and destroying habitat, or meth and ED drugs and things like that getting flushed down toilets in Florida that are leading to quite literal meth gators. It's having really large negative side effects on the animals. And my entire goal in life is to mitigate human-wildlife conflict. And this is a really large conflict that is, for the most part, going unspoken.
So you're saying some of these animals are actually seeking out the drugs and vices for themselves?
The only ones that we encountered that were generally seeking it out, and if you think about it, they have an instinctual drive to do so, were the bears. Now, with the advent of all of these new really sugary alcoholic drinks, whether that's alcoholic kombucha or ciders or the White Claws and seltzers of the world, those animals are hardwired to seek sugar to put on weight, those animals being bears, during the spring and summer to get ready for the winter. So they are genuinely going for alcohol. In the case of cocaine hippos, they're just a side effect of the cocaine industry. And when it comes to meth gators, they are really bioaccumulating methamphetamines from the waterways into the smaller fish, into the larger fish, that by the time they get into the alligators are having really high potency effects. So it's very case-by-case basis. For the most part, they're not seeking it out, but they are being exposed to it with or without their own choice.
Beyond the stories, what's the bigger message here? What do you think viewers can walk away with, like understanding the relationship between humans and wildlife?
The biggest message here, Dan, is that everything's connected, and everything we do, whether that's, literally taking Viagra to have a good night and then peeing in the toilet, which ends up in our waterways, which ends up literally stopping reproduction in certain animals. It's all connected. The ecosystem, the planet is all connected one way or another. And understanding that if we make better choices and are a little bit more responsible in how we discard things and how we manage getting rid of our own vices, then we can have a healthier planet, a better ecosystem if we just make those choices, because it does affect creatures that don't have a say in it.
All right, you're also part of Alien Sharks Death Down Under. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, again, it's a loud, salacious, silly title, but it's a really cool show and tell of sharks that don't get the spotlight very frequently. In that show, I believe we have 17 different species of elasmobranch. We look at some of the only venomous sharks in the world and even test the potency of that venom on the human system, which hasn't been tested before. So it's a really cool show. If you missed it on Discovery Channel, you can catch up on Discovery Plus or HBO Max. We've got other Shark Weeks, Animals on Drugs, anything to do with conservation and wildlife. I'm all about it, and I'm trying to put it out there for people to love.
Venomous sharks, animals on drugs. You have a very interesting career following all this stuff, man.
I do indeed. I'm very lucky. I get to follow my passion every day, which is to communicate wildlife conservation and science. And I just am so glad to hear when people fall in love with animals because of it.
Check out Animals on Drugs, Monday, July 28th at 8 p.m. Eastern and Pacific on Discovery Channel. And keep an eye out for Forrest and Alien Sharks Death Down Under and Florida's Death Beach, both airing during Shark Week. For more info, visit discovery.com or follow them on social media at Discovery. Hey, Forrest, thanks for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
And that's it for Rise Unwind Orlando. Want to thank you for tuning in and checking out the show. If you actually want to be on the show, go to our website. That is riseunwindtv.com. Fill out the form, send it our way, and maybe you could be on a future episode. Follow our YouTube channel. That's at Rise Unwind TV. Like, comment, share, subscribe, all the stuff that those YouTubers say. It all helps us out too. And until next week, that was Rise and Unwind.